Welcome to the Living the Dream podcast with Curveball. If you believe, you can achieve. Welcome to the Living the Dream with Curveball podcast, a show where I interview guests that teach, motivate, and inspire. Today, I am joined by author and English teacher, Cathelina Duvert. Cathelina is the author of the book, The Box. So we're going to be talking to her about her book and her blog and everything that she's up to and going to be up to. So Cathelina, thank you so much for joining me.
Hi, Curtis. Thank you so much for inviting me. I'm really glad to be here.
Why don't you start off by telling everybody a little bit about yourself?
Sure. My name is Cathelina Duvert, and I am a writer. I am an author. I am a teacher, and I've been teaching for about 17, 18 years, but I've been a writer all my life, even before I realized that I loved writing. And about 25 years ago, I started writing a story about a young woman who was going through emotional issues. And when I was diagnosed with depression, that's when I realized that my main character was going through depression. And I took the story from there. It took me a very long time to finish the story because life happened, but finally I was able to publish it last year, and it is now a book available on audio, print book, and ebook on Amazon.com, and it's called The Box.
Well, when did you first start having your experience with depression?
Oh, I first started having it about, I'm gonna say 11, 12 years old. And I didn't realize what it was until I was diagnosed in my mid to late 20s.
Well, what are some things that you do to help combat depression?
Well, funny enough, I found five things that helped me combat depression. And I realized all these things completely by accident. My sister, my two of my cousins, and I would get together and we, sort of challenged each other to better ourselves, to work on the things that we wanted to achieve the things that we wanted to. And then we started reading books together, like oh gosh, what is it called? It's the Miracle Morning, and we tried to incorporate some strategies in the Miracle Morning in order to get ourselves where we wanted to be. So we started meditating and sharing with each other the meditations that we liked, especially the ones that we would find on YouTube. We started using daily affirmations, and again, we started sharing what we liked. So those two things we did that sort of helped me overcome depression in the long run was what helped me. I started exercising regularly because my sister did it, and I saw the benefits that it was having on her, and I kind of wanted those benefits as well, like physical goals. And I didn't realize at the time that it was also helping me with my mental state. And so that was the third thing that I did regularly. And then also one of the things that my sister, my cousins, and I shared were these videos on YouTube where there are people, giving speeches, how should I say it? Like they were motivational. And I would listen to them as I got ready for work with people, talking about how great we are and we were put here for a reason. And, we have to do the things that we were meant to do. Things like that really inspired me. So I listened to those on a regular basis. And of course, my writing. My writing is my life. It's my lifeline. I think in a way writing sort of saved my life. It wasn't always something that I did regularly. It wasn't something that I did that well until not perfected it because I'm not perfect, but I practiced it. I studied it, and it's just one of those things that I will never give up. I just absolutely love writing. So those were the five things that I did that really helped me combat my daily struggle with depression.
Well, when did you first seek help for depression and what made you realize you might need some help to seek the help?
Yeah, that's a good question. It wasn't on me. So I was always prone to burst out into crying fits. I would just really be sad, depressed, start crying for no reason. And I didn't really understand why I was crying either. And my sister, who happens to be my twin sister, she did not know how to help me. And one evening after I burst into crying, into tears for no re apparent reason, there were probably reasons behind them. I just didn't realize it at the time. She was just like, enough, that this is enough. You have to find some help for this. And she's the one who started looking for a therapist for me. And I don't know if the therapist that I started seeing was a result of her finding the therapist, or maybe I took over the search. I just don't remember. But I did start seeing a therapist, and I realized that it was helping me. Now, at the time, the therapist and I didn't really go deep into what was causing my depression, but it was a way for me to talk about my everyday struggles. It was a way for me to learn some strategies to deal with those struggles. So it really started helping me.
Well, you have a blog,
I
so
do have a blog.
talk to the listeners about your blog and tell us why you decided to write it and what we can expect when we read it.
Okay. So it came from two previous failed blogs. Well, I'm not going to say they were failed blogs, but when I was 40 years old, I, I I didn't have a partner, and I wanted to be married. I wanted to have children, and I was just like, why am I still single? And so I decided to write a funny slash inspiring blog about my single life, and I called it The True Confessions of a Reluctant Bachelorette because I really wanted to be married. And it was a fun blog filled with really sort of essays about the status of the single person, and how people view us single folks, and it was also fun, not fun, but disaster dates. I like telling stories about that disastrous dates that I was on. And when I finally did meet someone and I married him, there was no reason to have my reluctant bachelorette blog. So I wanted to write something a little bit more meaningful, but I still wanted it to be on the lighter side. So I decided to write a blog called Tied the Knot. And with Tie the Knot, I was going to write funny stories about, my adventures in marriage while being married. And that did not resonate with me as much. I probably wrote like 10, maybe 15 blog posts for that one, and it didn't really resonate with me. And I realized towards the end of the life of Tie the Knot, I was writing a lot about things that matter to me, like, my father's legacy, the beauty that I saw in my mother, who has since passed on. And so I started feeling like I needed to go more towards being true to myself, be writing something that was meaningful rather than something that was just funny and quirky. And so I really went inside myself and thought about, well, what do I want to share with people out there? And by that time, I had already realized the 5 strategies that helped me deal with depression. So I decided I'm going to write a blog about depression, but it's not going to be something negative. It'll be about the positive aspect of, not aspect, but positive perspective on depression. So I called it Kathy's Cross because that was my cross to bear. Depression is my cross to bear. And the subtitle is A Depressive's Positive Perspective, because I took all the issues that I had, or negative situations that I found myself in, and I tried to look at them in a positive perspective for each one, so that I don't keep thinking of myself as being in the dark, but I wanted to see the light through my depressive states. So that's what I did.
What value would a depressive get out of reading your blog?
That's a great question. And I think a person who's depressed may look at my blog and think I'm not the only one who goes through this. Because believe it or not, depression is being talked a lot about these days, but depression is one of those conditions where you still feel like you are the only one who's going through it. Because I felt like that, and I still feel like that sometimes. So I feel like a person who's depressed reading my blog will read it and be like, well, I'm not the only person who's going through this, or I know the name of what I'm going through because I talk about not just my depression, but my anxiety as well. And I didn't realize until I wrote the blog post, well, until I read another book, and then I wrote the blog post on it about somebody who was going through depression and anxiety. And I'm like, oh my gosh, I didn't realize that all those things that I was going through was anxiety that was exacerbated by my depression. And so I had somebody send me an email telling me, oh my gosh, Kathy, I just read your latest blog post and I had no idea that what I was going through was what you were going through. And she explained to me how, you know, the moments that she felt that she was not feeling right and with all these ideas going on in her, negative ideas going on in her head and not being able to find the words to express it. That's exactly what I had explained in my blog. And so I was really, really pleased with the fact that she was able to see something in there that she felt she resonated with. And I feel that people who read the blog posts may find something that they resonate with and may feel like they're not alone.
Well, what advice would you give to the people who are depressed out here?
I would say please, please, please know that there are people out there who believe in you and who you can possibly trust. Find that person that you feel that you can trust with anything that you tell them and share with them what you're going through. They might be able to find a way to help you. Just like my sister was able to help me find a therapist, somebody may be able to find something that helps them. And one of the things that I always tell people too is that before I said that writing, I feel like writing has saved my life. I would say that find something that you are passionate about and pour yourself into that thing. And who knows, that thing may be able to help you release those negative demons, you know? I called my depression, well, I don't like to call it my depression, but I call what I was going through the depression monster. And I felt like every time that I wrote and I wrote about my depression, I felt like I was leaving it all on the page. I was expelling it from my body. I was expelling it from my mind. And I feel that that's what creativity does for us. Whether you love to garden, whether you love watching movies, whether you love writing, painting, roller skating, any of those things, anything that is your passion and you feel that you can pour your heart into it, I feel like it will help you get elevate your mood and you will be able to possibly, I don't know, see clarity, see what you're going through, understand why it is that you are going through what you're going through, and maybe that burst of clarity, that aha moment will help you over that stump, over and help you overcome what it is that you're going through currently.
Well, tell the listeners where they can find your book.
Absolutely. So my novel, The Box, which is about a young woman who's suffering with depression and how she managed to get over it by looking more into her past and the things that her mother had to go through, it can be found on Amazon. And as I said before, it's also available on print book, ebook, and audiobook. And I also do have it's also available on my website. So CathelinaDuvert.com is my website, and you can also find it there. Oh, and the book, my novel, The Box, it can also be found on bookshop.org. It can be found on barnesandnoble.org and .com, excuse me, and a number of other different uh, independent bookstores online.
Tell us about any upcoming projects that you're working on that listeners need to be aware of.
Sure. So one of the things that actually just came out, I published a short story in a book called Where Kindness Lives, and it's just an anthology of nine different stories of writers' different perspective on what kindness is through fictional stories, and it's such a lovely, lovely book. And I would urge anyone, if you're going to purchase that book on Amazon or bookshop.org or wherever you buy it, email me a copy of the receipt and you can get a free recipe, a cookbook that is a companion book to this kindness anthology.
All right. So you gave out your website,
Hmm.
CathleenDuvert.com.
Hmm.
So close us out with some final thoughts. Maybe if there was something I forgot to talk about that you would like to touch on, or any final thoughts you have for the listeners.
Oh, I just want to say, well, thank you so much for this time. And I would like to say to the listeners out there, whoever's listening, whether you're a writer or not, or some type of artist or anything, I would urge you to really, really step into your light. I mean, I feel like we were all born, we were put on this earth to do something wonderful, and it's our business, it's our job to make sure that we get that thing done. And if it's not, if we're not getting it done for ourselves, we're getting it done for other people who will find benefit in it. And I really truly believe that. That's what I want to end with.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, to keep up with everything that Cathelina's up to, visit
You-
CathelinaDuvert.com,
Yes,
pick up her
sure.
book, check
Hmm.
out the blog, follow, rate, review, share this episode to as many people as possible, and visit www.curveball337.com for more information on the Living the Dream with Curveball podcast. Thank you for listening and supporting the show. And Cathelina, thank you for all that you do, and thank you for joining me.
Thank you so much for having me here.
For more information on the Living the Dream with Curveball podcast, visit www.curveball337.com. Until next time, keep living the dream.